All right, so what we're going to talk about now is a discount loan. Again, this is lender of last resort. This is when they're lending to an illiquid bank. Okay? So let's say in this instance, this is now the federal, this happens in the locations, like in the regions, and again, there's 12 different regional Fed banks. So let's just say one of my old favorites, Bank of Oklahoma, has run out of cash. I actually had to work on a secondary offering for Bank of Oklahoma. Spent a lot of time in Tulsa. It was very interesting. But say BOKF, which is the ticker, has run out of cash, and they need help from their local Federal Reserve Bank, which is the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, right? So obviously, in this instance, they're not just going to give money to them for nothing. They're not going to say, here, have some cash, right? They extend them a loan, right? So when we're dealing with open market operations and FX, they're buying securities from you. In this instance, Bank of Oklahoma needs to borrow, right? And so what they will do is, so the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas will basically extend them a loan. So we'll give them, say it gives them $1 billion of cash reserves, right? But on Bank of Oklahoma's balance sheet, this will also end up as a liability loan or from the Fed, also known as a discount loan. Okay, so the Fed will basically then get an asset of $1 billion loan, right, to BOKF, which is the name of the ticker of Bank of Oklahoma. But then the Bank of Oklahoma will also get $1 billion in cash reserves. Again, this is just a mirror account that sits on the balance sheet of the Fed. Again, this is BOKF's money. Okay? So what happens here is, again, where does the cash come from that the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas is using to lend to BOKF? All together now. Where does the cash come from that the Fed used? They printed. Thank you. I realize it's a rainy Tuesday, but this is how we remember things. Actually, it's not raining anymore. So what will end up happening, right, is that this will increase the monetary base, right? So is this inflationary when they keep printing money? Hell yes, right? If you just kept printing willy-nilly with no regard for anything, you would basically reduce the incremental value of every dollar, right, if you just keep printing them, right? This is how you generate hyperinflation. So does the Fed do this just, like, how do they think about this? This is something they have to be really careful with, because if you just go off printing money all the time, right, you're going to sow the seeds for inflation, which is the last thing that they want to do. So they have to be very careful, right? So I want you to know, and again, this is where the reading of the chapters come in, increasing the monetary base increases the likelihood of inflation. So when they do these things and these interventions, right, and they're printing dollars, it is very inflationary. Okay? So they have to consider very carefully what they're doing when they do it. Okay?